In this lesson, I'm going to talk about the order of operations. Now, this kind of thing tripped me up quite a bit in high school, and it might cause you problems as well. And you've probably come across this problem before and were told that your answer is incorrect, and you've wondered why. Take this simple calculation. 14 minus 3 times 4. Now, what does that equal? It looks really easy to do, but what numbers should we add together first? If we decide to minus 3 from 14, we end up with 11 times 4, and we get a total of 44. But some of us may instead multiply 3 times 4, ending up with 14 minus 12, giving us an answer of 2. So if we're getting totally different answers here, simply because we decided to sum a certain two numbers first, which answer is the correct one? As I first mentioned, these types of questions trip up a lot of people, but there are specific rules as to which operation you should do first. Now, what do I mean by an operation? In the example above, we see two operators, a minus sign and a multiplication sign. And in this case, multiplication takes precedence over subtraction. Or in other words, you should multiply 3 times 4 first, then tackle the subtraction. So in our example above, the second calculation with the value of 2 was the correct answer. We can have 6 different types of operators with a definite order of precedence. These operators are brackets, order as in power, division, multiplication, addition, and subtraction. And the operators are listed in the order they should be tackled within any arithmetic calculation. Notice here that I've grouped division and multiplication third. I've also grouped together addition and subtraction as fourth. The reason why they're grouped together is because as we work through the sum from left to right, we evaluate divisions and multiplications as they are encountered. This sounds quite complicated, so let me try and clear this up with some examples. So let's evaluate this example. Now this looks a lot more complicated than the previous example, but this is rather quick to do. If we look back at our list of operators and their order, we see that the first letters of each word spell out BODMAS. This is a useful mnemonic to help us remember the order. You may have heard this called PEDMAS, but it is essentially the same thing. So in this example, we have 4 operators to worry about: division, multiplication, addition, and subtraction. Because division and multiplication are grouped together, we must work on these first. Our first sweep from left to right produces 4 plus 30 divided by 2 minus 3 times 2 minus 1. In our first pass, we ignored all the addition and subtraction, but when we came across 5 times 6 divided by 2, we multiplied the 5 and the 6, but we left the divided by 2 alone. Because we are evaluating division and multiplication as they are encountered, we divided 12 by 4 first, leaving the times 2 alone. The second pass from left to right produces 4 plus 15 minus 6 minus 1. Now we can tackle the addition and subtraction in the third sweep. So we get 19 minus 7, and finally we get the answer of 12. Now let's look at a sum containing all 6 operators. So this one is even more complicated still. If we write out our mnemonic BODMAS, we can mark down what operators we have in this sum and remind ourselves of the order. Also remember, we always move through a sum from left to right. We got 5 minus 3 times 4 plus 24 divided by, open bracket, 3 plus 5, close bracket, minus 3 squared. Now when it comes to brackets, we always ignore everything outside the brackets and follow the order of operations within the bracket itself. Once we've calculated everything within the bracket, then we work on the order of operations outside the bracket. Our first pass produces 5 minus 3 times 4 plus 24 divided by 8 minus 3 squared. The next step is to look at the powers within the calculation. 5 minus 3 times 4 plus 24 divided by 8 minus 9. Now we look at division and multiplication, and we get 5 minus 12 plus 3 minus 9. And the final pass, we're left with addition and subtraction, leaving us with minus 7 plus minus 6, which equals minus 13. So now let's evaluate 34 plus 10 divided by open bracket 2 minus 3 close bracket times 5. Okay, so what operators do we have here? We have brackets, multiplication, division, addition, and subtraction. Everything in brackets must be calculated first. So in step 1, we get 34 plus 10 divided by minus 1 times 5. Step 2, we work on the division, 34 minus 10 times 5. Step 3, we work on the multiplication. We don't do this in step 2 because the division and the multiplication are back to back, and we have to do these in separate steps. So in step 3, we've got 34 minus 50. And in the final step, we've got the answer minus 16. And we need to remember here that in step 2, we divided first because we summed the calculation from left to right. So you may be faced with nested brackets. These are brackets within brackets. When faced with nested brackets, we perform all the calculations in the innermost bracket first before moving to the outer bracket. So again, if we type out our BODMAS mnemonic, we find we've got all the operators except for the power or the order operator. So let's work on the innermost bracket in step 1. This leaves us with 5 minus open bracket 8 plus 7 times 3 minus 9 divided by 3 close bracket. In step 2, we can work on the multiplication and the division in the outermost bracket. This leaves us with step 3 with just this subtraction, and step 4, the answer is minus 21.